So, Adrian, yesterday a 1-1 draw for England. The performance wasn't one to write home about, but the aftermath and some of the stick that Gareth Southgate's been coming in for, do you think it's been called for? Was you happy? At the end of the day, it's one of those games where some people might say it's one that you don't lose. As long as you don't lose, it's all right.
Yeah, you kind of got to box it off, okay? So there's two ways of looking at it, and they're both very valid. One is in the context of the group and qualification, which is everything. And even in the context of winning the group, a draw away, a point away at the team, second in the group, is more than acceptable. If Ukraine had won, they'd have been 3 points behind us. It would have given a lot of hope to Italy and North Macedonia ahead of their game in the evening. They drew that one. But winning it would have put us 9 points clear. So we'd really love to win it. A draw is a good result in the context of the group. Defeat is not an option. So then you come to the performance, and as Jim Proudfoot rightly said on our commentary last night, you just heard it there, the level of performance was not acceptable, not good enough. And I think the players will look at themselves. I also believe that this is one of those times where Gareth Southgate might actually look at his selection and say, you know what, I actually was too cautious. Maybe I did get it wrong. He will point to the fact that they didn't lose the game, which was absolutely vital in the context of the group. But that level of performance with those players he's got, it's not going to win you European Championships, and that's less than a year away. So I think there's cause for concern. I understand why there's been such a reaction. I also believe some of it is an overreaction. I've heard people say, I've had friends of mine who are England fans message me saying, oh, it's always boring. Hang on a minute, 7-0 against North Macedonia wasn't boring. Winning 2-1 in Naples against Italy was definitely not boring. Beating Germany 2-0 at the Euros, definitely not boring. We've had some really good results. There's been some really good performances. A Bukayo Saka hat-trick. Harry Kane's been on a scoring streak up until yesterday. You know, I think there's been some real positives in recent times for England. Last night, though, in terms of the performance, was definitely not one of them.
Yeah, I do agree, Aid. I think it was rightly being called out last night for being boring, but you are right. It's not always boring. Absolutely not. Well, I just want to know from you, are you concerned how laboured and tired some of the players looked in terms of, I mean, Saka, Mykolenko kind of had Saka in his pocket, really, and Henderson looked way off the pace for an international, and then, you know, he takes off what is the best player in the world at the moment, Jude Bellingham, and one of, if not the best player in the Premier League at the moment in James Maddison, and not the players that actually look tired.
Yeah, taking those two off was, I had my hands in the air. I just couldn't believe what was going on. They both came off on 65, and all right, they were replaced by like-for-like players, so you can't say it was a negative move. Yeah. But Bellingham's just getting into a habit of scoring late winners, you know, scoring late goals. So that was a real puzzling one for me. I would have thought, keep those players on, but just after their position, Maddison should have come more central. He should have been there from the start, really. So, yeah, you're right. And in terms of Bukayo Saka, I've been expressing this for some time on talkSPORT. I am really concerned about Bukayo Saka playing so much for Arsenal and for England as well. It's not just an Arsenal thing, but he gets rinsed virtually every game. I kind of stand up and applaud when Arteta takes him off when a game is won. That needs to be done. He did look tired. He almost scored the winner. It was a brilliant save onto the bar from the Ukraine keeper. So he's still capable, even though he's looking tired. But there was a moment where he lost the ball, and actually they broke away. He lost it in their half. Didn't look too dangerous, but it was a cheap giveaway of the ball. And then he was on the floor, took his time getting up, and I thought he shattered. Shortly after that, he came off. But he's playing too much for somebody of his age. It's tough because he's so brilliant. But I think that... I don't know. I think it's hard when you're England and you've got all those brilliant attacking players and we should be doing this and we should be doing that. And then you go to Ukraine, who definitely want to win the game, but they definitely don't want to lose it either. But even though they're, in inverted commas, at home, they're playing such a low block. They're strangling the life out of us. So we kind of stood off them and passed it around a bit, looked really pedestrian because it was, but they didn't come out. We didn't open them up. We didn't draw them onto us. So then you've got to have another way of doing it. And we didn't zip the ball around fast enough at all, possibly because the pitch wasn't great. But those players should be doing better.
Adrian, do you think there's some form of hangover from the previous tournaments in terms of, especially the European final with Italy against the ropes and when we went 1-0 up? There seems to be a lot of England fans that are still kind of angry with Gareth Southgate. Like, that was our moment and we didn't go for it. And we had Italy, a very Asian Italy team, against the ropes, and perhaps we should have won it then. I feel there's a sort of an undertone, like subconsciously, from a lot of England fans towards Gareth Southgate with that in mind.
Yeah, there's a lot of delusion as well, I think. And there's a huge amount of arrogance. Oh, we should be doing this. These players should be doing that. like the opposition doesn't exist. I mean, as much as you can say that some of those Italian players were aging, some of the England players were incredibly young.
Yeah.
You know, and that presents a different challenge. In the end, we drew the game, lost on penalties. Some of our younger penalty takers needed some more experience in that situation. They've got that experience. Now, let's see how they go going forward if that same scenario crops up. But the delusion is absolutely bewildering me. It's almost like these rocked up supporting England, the Gareth Southgate. Where were they in 2008 when we didn't qualify? In 2010 when Rooney's barking at fans down a camera lens?
Yeah.
In 2012 when Capella can't be bothered to just have the Euros and Hudson has to step in, and it's a bit dull, really. We're playing even worse than we did last night. 2014 when we're home the games. 2016 in Iceland, low point. Absolutely shocking. And then all of a sudden we're really competitive in tournaments. The flip side of that is some people will say, well, with these players, we should be going deep in tournaments. More than that, we should be winning tournaments. That's where the level of arrogance, for me, is unacceptable. You have to earn the right. There are still some... Bukayo Saka, for example, as brilliant as he is, and I absolutely love him, there's nothing not to love, hasn't won a thing. He hasn't won anything.
The Charity
You've
Shield.
got to bear that in mind. You know, Bellingham's not won anything.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? So these players have still got to experience that winning feeling. They're young as 21, Saka, 20, Bellingham. Come on, let's give these guys a bit of a break. The thing you should remember is they all trust in Gareth Southgate, so maybe we should as well.
Absolutely wonderful stuff, as always. The GOAT of talkSPORT, I like to call him, Adrian Durham there, reflecting and putting into context, really, the England result. Do you feel more reassured listening to that from Adrian? Because there's certain stuff that he said there, he's absolutely bang on, to be fair to him.
Yeah, look,
removing emotion and going with facts.
To be the England national team manager is one of the hardest jobs around in football, in terms of football, because no matter what, the squad's announced, everyone picks players that are not in the squad. We do it, we sit here, James Ward-Prowse should be in it, Jarrod Bones should be in it. Then, right, we accept that, then the team's picked, and then we sit here again, other people sit, the supporters sit, he should be playing. Must be a real difficult job. But he has had success, and I don't mean success as in picking up trophies, Gareth Southgate, but he's had success in terms of other England managers. However, this is another golden generation in inverted brackets. Now, we look back at the golden generation of Beckham, Gerrard, Lampard, Scholes, Terry, Rio,
who won nothing,
and we think, how did that generation, Rooney, how did that team not win? You don't want this team, which is arguably better generation than that, in 10, 15 years' time, people looking back going, how did that team not win anything? Can't keep happening. At some stage, England, the Premier League, probably one of the best leagues in the world, has to win something. And if they're not, then things have to change.